We continue now at the Daf Yomi Gemara Meseches Makkos. This is Makkos Daf 5b. On the previous summit in the Mishnah, Rabbi Yehuda said, if you have a situation where these same witnesses, they keep falsifying any witnesses who come forward in terms of, let's say, a situation of murder, so Rabbi Yehuda said that's already conspiracy. We're not going to believe those witnesses who keep falsifying every set of witnesses. Every set of witnesses, you were with us, you were with us. And so therefore, we're only going to kill the first set of witnesses and none of the other witnesses. And the Gemara says, I status hizu, but if Rabbi Yehuda believes it really is a status, it really is a conspiracy, and we should not be believing these witnesses that are falsifying all the other witnesses, so afilu kas rishona namilo. So the first set of witnesses also we shouldn't kill. Why are we killing the first set of witnesses? We shouldn't believe anything these people are saying. And the Gemara says, Amar Rabbi Avo says, Shekidmu v'hargu. The case in the Mishnah is they already killed the first set. They didn't realize that there was a second set. They didn't realize it was a conspiracy. And so what's done is done. But the Gemara says, if that's the case, might have it. What's done is done. So what kind of answer is that? Of course, if they were already killed, they were already killed. There's no point of the Mishnah saying that. The Mishnah should simply say, if they were not already killed, you shouldn't kill anybody. And if it already happened, so it already happened. So Ela Amar Rava, rather Rava says a different answer to understanding why we kill that first set. Hachi Kamar, this is actually what's being said in the Mishnah. Im eino ela kasachas. If there's only one set, nehereges, then that set is going to be killed. That's not a conspiracy. But if there's more than one, ein neherag, and then they are not going to be killed. That's how he wants to understand the Mishnah. So essentially, it's a repetition of the same idea, that if there's only one set of witnesses they're testifying against, that's not a conspiracy. If there's more than one set, then it is a conspiracy. But the problem is that also does not fit with the words of the Mishnah, as the Gemara asks, ha bilvad kamar. It says that you're only going to kill the first set, as if there are other sets, and you're still killing the first set. So that answer also doesn't fit. And the Gemara says kasha. The Gemara says indeed that is a difficulty with Rava's answer. And the Gemara continues, there was a woman, she brought witnesses that it turned out they were liars. She brought other witnesses, it turned out they were liars. Then she goes and brings another set of witnesses to Loish Takar, and that last set was not falsified. Reish Lakish says, this woman already, there's a presumption that she just brings false witnesses, and we cannot believe the witnesses she's bringing forward. Rashi explains, in this case, when we find out they were liars, we're not talking about a typical case of imanu hayisam, where the other witnesses come in and say that they're Edom Zomin, but there were just contradictions. B'drishos bezin kishabadkum, when Bezin examined them, there were kinds of contradictions. In the last set, there was no such contradictions. Reish Lakish says, it doesn't matter, we can't believe the witnesses that this lady is bringing in. Amar le Rabbi Elazar says to him, he says to Reish Lakish, imhi huchsaka, just because she has a presumption that she looks for false witnesses, kol Yisrael mi huchsaka, are we going to say all of Klal Yisrael has a chazaka? Meaning that doesn't prove that these witnesses are liars. She has a chazaka that's someone you can't trust. But the witnesses that came in, we have to assume that they're trustworthy unless we prove them wrong. And the Gemara continues, Zimnin havayasvi kame de Rabbi Yochanan. There was a time they were sitting before Rabbi Yochanan, and asa ki hai ma'isa l'kaimai, this exact kind of incident happened in front of them. And Reish Lakish said, Huchzakazu, there's a chazaka on this person, this person who's bringing in false witnesses. We can't believe the witnesses that they bring in. Rabbi Yochanan said to him, Im Huchzakazu, if this one has a chazaka against him, Kol Yisrael mi Huchzaku, are we going to say all of Klal Yisrael there's a chazaka against them? So Rabbi Yochanan rejected this line of reasoning of Reish Lakish. Now, in this situation, again, Rabbi Elazar had said the exact same thing to Reish Lakish, and now Rabbi Yochanan is using the exact same line. So Hadr Chazi Rabbi Elazar bishus. So he saw that Rabbi Elazar already was embarrassed because it was clear that Rabbi Elazar had quoted, so to speak, Rabbi Yochanan without quoting Rabbi Yochanan. He said it as if it was his own. Amar Lei, so he said to him, Shamas milim mi bar nafcha. You heard something from bar nafcha. Bar nafcha was a way of referring to Rabbi Yochanan. You heard something from Rabbi Yochanan. V'lo amrit li mishmein. You didn't say it to me in his name. And Rashi explains the phrase Hadr Chazi Rabbi Elazar bishus hechzer Reish Lakish as panav. It means that Reish Lakish turned his face v'nistakel Rabbi Elazar bepanim zoafos, and he looked at Rabbi Elazar bepanim zoafos with an angry face. He's understanding that Chazia Rabbi Elazar bishus is the way that Reish Lakish looked at Rabbi Elazar. He looked at him in an angry manner that you, Rabbi Elazar, should be embarrassed. Shehaven Reish Lakish Hasham Rabbi Elazar davar zeh, because Reish Lakish understood that Rabbi Elazar heard this mipi Rabbi Yochanan from Rabbi Yochanan. Uchasha'amra lo amr bishma. When he said it over to him, he did not say it in his name. And the Gemara continues, Lema Reish Lakish diamar Rabbi Yehuda. Let us say that Reish Lakish, he says like Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yochanan diamar Rabbanan, and Rabbi Yochanan says like the Rabbanan. This is referring to Rabbi Yehuda and the Rabbanan in our Mishnah. Again, in our Mishnah was a situation where one set of witnesses keeps falsifying all the witnesses. Rabbi Yehuda says that we assume that this set of witnesses, it's all a conspiracy. We don't trust this set of witnesses. And Reish Lakish is saying the same thing. We don't trust this person who's bringing forth a bunch of false witnesses. And Rabbi Yochanan, who says, Im huchzaku So Rabbi Yochanan would be saying, no, like the Rabbanan, that we do trust the witnesses. We don't just assume that it's a conspiracy or that what they're saying is false. And the Gemara continues and says, Amar lech Reish Lakish will say to you, I can say even according to the Rabbanan, even according to the Rabbanan who trust that set of witnesses, who falsify all the witnesses that come forward. But Adkan lo kami Rabbanan hasam, the leka to kamahadr. The Rabbanan only say that over there, that they trust this set of witnesses, because there's no one who's pursuing, trying to find these false witnesses. But over here, ikohad to kamahadr, you have the litigant in the case that's bringing forth the witnesses. And so therefore, that is more reason not to trust them. For Rabbi Yochanan Amar Lach, and Rabbi Yochanan, he will say to you, I could even follow Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda doesn't trust that one set of witnesses who happens to say everybody was with them, because Adkan lo kam Rabbi Yehuda hasam. Rabbi Yehuda only said that over there. Because we say Atu kuli alma gabi hani havokaimi. Do you think these people were standing with everyone? Imanu ha'isam. They were with all of these people. That's very unlikely. But over here, hani yadi b'sadusa, v'hani lo yadi b'sadusa. Maybe these ones knew the proper testimony and the other ones did not, and so therefore, just because the litigant brought forth some false witnesses, that doesn't mean that the later witnesses are actually false. And the Gemara continues with the Mishnah, Ein ha'edem zomim in neheragin. Edem zomin are not killed at sheyigmar hadin, unless there was a verdict. In other words, they have to testify falsely, and there has to be a verdict against the defendant. Shaharei hatzidukin omrim ad sheyaharek. Now the tzidukim, they said that actually the defendant has to get killed. Shenemar, as it says, nefesh tachas nefesh, it says a soul for a soul. Amru lahem chachamim, so the chachamim said to them, they said to the tzidukin, v'alo kvar nemar v'asisam lo kasher zomam la'asos liachiv. It says it has to be like they try to do to his brother, and we understand that to mean v'harei achiv kayim. It means that his brother is still alive. They tried to do it, but they didn't actually succeed. V'im kein lama nemar nefesh tachas nefesh, and if so, why does it say nefesh tachas nefesh? Because yachol mishasha kiblu eduson yahargu, because one might think that the moment we receive their testimony, that's enough that they should be killed. Talmud lomer nefesh tachas nefesh, it says nefesh tachas nefesh ha'enon neheragan at sheyigmar hadin. We only say that they get killed when there is an actual verdict. And the Gemara continues, Tana, it was taught, Berivi Omer, Berivi says, Rashi says that the person's name was Berivi. Berivi Omer, Lo Hargu Neheragan. Berivi says if they don't kill, then they are killed. But Hargu, but if they do kill, Ein Neheragan, then they don't get killed. Again, like we said, that once there's a verdict, then you can kill Edom Zoman. But if there's a verdict and already they killed the defendant, then already it's too late, and we don't say that the Edom Zoman get killed. And the Gemara continues, Amar Aviv, his father said, Beni, my son, Lav Kal V'chomer, what you're saying doesn't seem logical. It should be a Kal V'chomer. We should say the other way around, meaning if you're already killing them when they didn't actually kill, so when they actually have killed the defendant, certainly we should kill them. Amar Lo, he said to him, Limadetanu Rabbeinu, our Rebbe taught us she'ein onshin min hadin. Even though you're saying there's a Kal V'chomer, but we don't punish based on a Kal V'chomer. You can't say, well, there's a Kal V'chomer, therefore we should kill them when they kill the defendant as well. And how do we know ein onshin min hadin? How do we know we don't punish based on a Kal V'chomer? Tanya, because we learned in a brayso, it says if a person takes his sister, the daughter of his father, or the daughter of his mother, if you're reading the pasuk, I only know that a person has violated this arayas if they take the daughter of his father, that's not the daughter of his mother, meaning his half-sister, or the daughter of his mother, that's not the daughter of his father. But what if she's the daughter of his mother and the daughter of his father? Meaning, what if a person is together, has relations with his full sister? How do you know that? The pasuk says, Ervas achoso gila. It says the erva of his sister he has exposed, and so therefore we learn from that part of the pasuk it applies even from the full sister. Now ad shelo yomar. Now even if the pasuk wouldn't have said that, yesh li bedin, wouldn't I be able to learn from a Kal V'chomer? Imana shal basav shelo basimo shelo basav, if he's punished for the daughter of his father who's not the daughter of his mother, or for the daughter of his mother who's not the daughter of his father, basav basimo lo kol shekain. So if it's the daughter of his father and his mother, if it's his full sister, we can say Kal V'chomer, for sure there should be a punishment. Halamadata, this teaches us she'ein onshin min hadin, that there is no punishment based on a Kal V'chomer. And the Gemara continues, Ona Shamanu. So from here we see the punishment by the full sister. Azhar minayin. Where do we know this? By a warning. Talmud Lomer, the pasuk says, Ervas achoscha bas avicha o basimecha. Again, it says the erva of your sister, daughter of your father, or daughter of your mother. And again, Ein li ela bas aviv shelo basimo. I only know the daughter of his father, who's not the daughter of his mother. U basimo shelo bas aviv, or the daughter of his mother, who's not the daughter of his father. Bas aviv u basimo minayin. How do we know if it's the daughter of his father and his mother? How do we know that the full sister it applies? Minayin. From where do we know that? Talmud Malama, the pasuk says, "Ervas bas eishas avicha moledes avicha achoschahi." It says again the erva of bas eishas avicha, the daughter of the wife of your father, moledes avicha, the one who was born from your father, achoschahi, she is your sister. That tells us a full sister. And again, achalo yomar yeshli min hadin. If it wouldn't have said it in the pasuk, I would have known it from a kal v'chomer. Ma im huzar al basimo shlo basaviv ubasaviv shlo basimo. If it's true that there's a warning against the daughter of his mother who's not the daughter of his father, or the daughter of his father who's not the daughter of his mother, basaviv ubasimo lo kol shekain. If it's the daughter of his father and the daughter of his mother, all the more so. Halamanata she'ein mazhir min hadin. From here we see that there's no warning based on a kal v'chomer. And the Gemara continues, Chayve Malchus minayin. From where do we know Chayve Malchus? Somebody who is liable to Malchus. This is a question on the Mishnah. Again, the Mishnah said that when it comes to the death penalty, so there we say that if the defendant was already killed, so the Edom Zoman, they don't get the punishment of Kasher Zamam. How do we know to apply that by Malchus as well? That it only goes by the verdict. If there's a verdict of Malchus, then the Edom Zoman, they get Malchus. But if the defendant actually got Malchus, they wouldn't get Malchus. How do we know that? Talmud, the pasuk says Russia, Russia. It says Russia, Russia, meaning to say it says Russia by Misa, and it also says Russia by Malchus. We make a Gzer Shava, and we compare the two. And Chayve Golius Minayin, a similar question when it comes to Golus. How do we know that we go by the verdict and not when the person actually goes to Golus? And from that, again, it's a Gzer Shava, Asir Rotzeach Rotzeach. We learn it out of Gzer Shava. It says Rotzeach by the case of the death penalty, and it says Rotzeach by Chayve Golius as well. Rashi explains Chayve Malchus Menolan Amas Nisim Kai. This is going on the Mishnah. Diamar Enos and Din Hazam Achi Gomer Hadin. We say that there's no Hazam until the verdict. V'yolef Lami Nefesh Benefesh. We learn out from Nefesh Benefesh. The Mishtay v'Chayve Misos. That's talking about the death penalty. Chayve Malchus Menolan. Where do we know that by Malchus? Heidu Shachai Malchus v'Huzma Menolan Dein Lokan El Imke Nigmar Hadin Tchil Apim. How do we know that the Edom Zoman get Malchus only in a situation where there's a verdict? And Chayve Golius Menolan. How do we know that by Golus as well? Again, that's somebody who's supposed to go to Golus for killing by mistake. Heidu Shachayev Liglos. They testify that he has to go to Golus for Huzman. They become falsified. Utanan Masnis and Sofek Asar Boim. We say that the person gets Malchus. Menolan. How do we know that it goes by the verdict? Dahani Hoel Velav Midin Kasher Zamam Kamis Rabu. The reason why we're asking here is because this is not learned from Kasher Zamam. So Lo Asi Malchus Didahu Migzer Shava de Russia Russia. You can't learn that out now from the Gzer Shava of Russia Russia. Demeahu Lo Yalfinon Ela Edom Zomen Sher Shiu Hanidon Lilkos. From there you can only learn the idea of Malchus Dahai Russia Russia Benidon Ksiv, because again Russia Russia, that's talking about those kinds of judgments, talking about situations of judgments of Malchus, that we can learn out, but you would not be able to learn it out by the situation of Malchus when it comes to Chayve Golius, and so again that's why in that situation we need to have another source. And the Gemara continues, Tanya, we learned in a Braisa, Amar Rabbi Yehuda ben Taboy. Rabbi Yehuda ben Taboy says, Ereb ben Nechama, I should see the consolation. Rashi explains, Ereb ben Nechama really is low Ereb ben Nechama. He means say, I should not see the ultimate consolation. I shouldn't see the redemption. Gemara Hafchul Evracha. The Gemara it changes it as a blessing to say it in a euphemistic fashion. Perish Acher, Rashi says another explanation. Ereb ben Nechama means Nishba Yamusu Banav. He's really taking note that his children should die. The Ereb ben Nechama, and he should see in their comfort. The point is that he's saying Ereb ben Nechama, something bad, so to speak, should happen. Im lo harakti eid zomim. If I did not kill an eid zomim, lahotzi mi liban shel tzedukim, because I'm trying to prove that tzedukim wrong. Shal yu omer, because they say eino edim zomin neragan ad sheyerag hanidon. They say that the edim zomin are not killed unless the defendant is killed. But I killed the eid zomim even in a situation where there was just a verdict, which is the proper halacha. Rabbi Yehuda ben Taboy is essentially saying I did what was right. Amar lo Shimon ben Shetach. Now Shimon ben Shetach, he said back to Rabbi Yehuda ben Taboy, Ereb ben Nechama, I should see in the consolation. Im lo shafach l'dam naki. If you've spilled innocent blood, what you did was not appropriate. Sharei amru chachamim, because the chachamim say ein ho'edem zomin nerag and achi zomu shneim. Edem zomin are not killed unless both of them are falsified, and you just killed one eid zomim. You killed in a situation where they were not both falsified. V'ein logan achi zomu shneim. You also don't give malchus to edem zomin unless they're both falsified. And so even though you were correct in terms of following the verdict and not actually having a death penalty, but you were incorrect because you killed a single eid zomim. And the Braisa continues, miyad immediately, Kibul Olav Rabbi Yehuda ben Taboy, She'eno Mora Hora, Rabbi Yehuda ben Taboy, he accepted upon himself that he would not issue any rulings, Elo Lifnei Shimon ben Shetach, unless he was in front of Shimon ben Shetach. V'chol Yomav Shel Rabbi Yehuda ben Taboy, Hayim Eshtateach Al Kivro, Shel Oso Eid, and all the days of Rabbi Yehuda ben Tabai, he would spread himself out over the gravesite of that witness that he killed wrongly. Vayakolo nishman, his voice was heard. And people thought to say Kolo shel harag. They thought it was the voice of the one that was killed. It was the voice of the murdered one. Amr, he said, that's not true. Koli shelihu. It's actually my voice. Teidu, you should know. Lamachar humeis, tomorrow he will die. He was referring to himself. Tomorrow I'm going to die. And ein Kolo nishman. When I die, that voice will not be heard. It's actually me that you hear. Amr le Ravacha brei de Rav Ashi. Ravacha, the son of Rav, said to Rav Ashi, that's not really a proof. The fact that when Rabbi Yehuda ben Tabai dies, we no longer hear the voice. Maybe it still was the voice of the witness that was killed, because Dilma Bedina kam b'hadei. Maybe when Rabbi Yehuda ben Tabai died, maybe now he took him to court, so to speak. He went up to the in din in Shamayim, inami piyusei paiser. Maybe he appeased him when he went up to Shamayim, and so therefore it really wouldn't be a proof. The fact that we don't hear the noise anymore after Rabbi Yehuda ben Tabai died. And the Gemara continues with the Mishnah. The pasuk says, "Al pishnayim edim o shlosha edim yumas hameis." It says, through 2 or 3 witnesses, the person is put to death. And so the Mishnah says, if the testimony is accepted with 2 witnesses, lama part hakasa b'shlosha. Why does the pasuk say 3? Obviously, you're going to accept 3 witnesses if you accept 2 witnesses. Rather, it's to compare 2 to 3. Ma shlosha mezim es hashnayim. Just like 3 witnesses can falsify 2 witnesses, af hashnayim yizomu es hagimel. So too 2 witnesses can falsify 3. How do we know that they can falsify even 100 witnesses? Talmud lomar edim. The pasuk says the word edim, witnesses. Rabbi Shimon says a different idea is learned from the pasuk. Mashnayim eino neharagin ad sheyu shneim zomen. Just like 2 are not killed unless both of them are falsified, as we just said above in the discussion between Rabbi Yehuda ben Tabai and Rabbi Shimon ben Shadach. Af shlosha eino neharagin ad sheyu shloshtan zomen. So too by 3, we don't say they get killed unless all 3 are falsified. Uminayin afilu meyan. From where do we know that this is true, even if it is 100? Talmud lomar edim. The pasuk says again, it says the word edim, and again we learn from the word edim, it applies even if there are 100. Rabbi Akiva says, Lo ba'ashlishi l'hakel el hachmer. That 3rd one in the pasuk, meaning when it says 2 or 3 witnesses, that's not meant to be there for a leniency. It's actually meant to be there for a stringency. We'll see Rashi in a moment. Velasos dino kayotze ba'elo. It's to say that we treat the 3rd witness just like the 2 witnesses. V'im kein anash hakasav l'nitfa la'ovrei avera ka'ovrei avera. And if we're going to punish somebody who's accompanying ovrei avera, like those who do the avera, meaning they didn't even need this 3rd witness. 2 witnesses were enough. Now this guy's a nitfal. This 3rd guy, he joins together with him, and we punish him. So alachas kama v'kama. So all the more so, yeshalim schar lenitfal lo say mitzvah ko say mitzvah. Somebody joins those who are doing a mitzvah, they are going to be rewarded like those who are doing the mitzvah. And Rashi explains, Rabbi Kiva Omer Loba Hashlishi Lo Hutzrach Lalamdeinu Zos. The teachings that the Tanakama have and Rabbi Shimon has, we don't need that. It's obvious. We automatically know that 2 can falsify 3. Because 2 witnesses are always kosher to testify. Automatically we know that they're not false until they're all falsified. Because they become witnesses as a group. The pasuk says that the group becomes false. The reason why we mentioned the 3rd witness is to be strict on him. Because you shouldn't say that since we don't even need him, without him, we would have had testimony. So maybe we shouldn't punish him with the din hazama. The pasuk is teaching he's also considered to be an essential part of the matter. And Rashi continues, alachas kama v'kama, all the more so when it comes to mitzvahs, says Rabbi Akiva, shematzinu midah tova meruba mimidas poranus, because we find that the good measure is much stronger than the midah of punishment. B'midah tova omer notzer chesed lo alofim, it says notzer chesed lo alofim when it talks about good, and b'midas poranus omer al shileshim v'al ribeim, it only says to the 3rd and the 4th, it doesn't say to the thousands when it comes to punishment. And the Mishnah continues, umashnayim nimtza echad mehen karov apostle edusim b'teila, just like when you have 2 witnesses, if one of them is found to be a relative or disqualified for some other reason, we say that the entire testimony is nullified. Af shlosha, so too when it comes to 3 witnesses, nimtza echad me'en karav apostle, if one of the witnesses is found to be a relative or disqualified, edusim b'teila, then their testimony is nullified. And minayin afilu meya, how do we know that we apply this even with 100 witnesses? Talmud lomar edim, the pasuk again, it says the word edim, and we will continue with this discussion in the next video on Daf Vav Amud Aleph.